It seems that the anti-Semitism used within the Labour Party is migrating to the United States now.
It's clearly you're adopting British and European stances to Israel, with those who want to oppose Israel and support Palestine, using Palestinians as an excuse to attack Israel rather than the idea. And from that, anybody that supports the existence is becoming a problem. And secondly, when you have parts of the country that are dominated by Muslims, they have a voting bloc. And that voting bloc means, therefore, you've got to abide by what they say. And of course, they want to see Israel brought down. They want to see them with their foot on their face, controlling them. And we can't allow that. You can't allow that because it's a slippery slope. We've seen it in history, what happens when you ignore one small group just because you need the votes of others. And what I would say is that we've seen that in the United Kingdom. I've watched it as a member of the European Parliament, where people simply ignore the wishes of the Jewish community whilst pretending that they are supporting the Jewish community. What I also see, unfortunately, is that there is still part of the Jewish elite, whether it's the Board of Deputies, whether it's those on the boards in Brussels and Europe, and also those in the United States, who feel that you have to accommodate those like AOC or the Squad in their arguments, that they need to be friendly and working with them in the hope that you attack the far right, when in fact most of us are amongst the biggest supporters of Israel, the Jewish community, freedom, liberty, democracy. The danger is they want to divide, and they're going to be seen as weak. And when you're weak, eventually you will be overrun. That is the example of what's happening in the United Kingdom. That is why Corbyn is able to get away with the anti-Semitism within his party. And that won't change now. It's happening in the Democrats. So be very, very aware that if the Democrats don't nip it in the bud now and end it, and the American people don't realise that they've got to vote their Democrats out until they do so, wherever they are in the country, then you're going to start getting that incredible division that starts where culture and race become an everyday part of politics. Not about schools or hospitals, but the colour of your skin, the faith that you hold. And if you don't abide by this kind of Marxist view, then you will no longer be acceptable in our communities.
But didn't this occur to Jewish supporters of Labour, who are lifelong supporters of Labour? And now, I mean, of course, by the time that they didn't stop it, it's now too late.
Well, they didn't stand up for it. They tried to accommodate it. They tried to appease the anti-Semites. They tried to appease communities that were hiding in full flow to them with a different agenda behind them. And now you can see in the Labour Party and the Labour movement that many strong supporters of Israel, the Jewish community, are being forced out. MPs are resigning. Members of the House of Lords are switching. Supporters are going. You cannot stop that wall of hatred if you've never stopped it at the beginning. And when you oppose the people that support you and appease the people that oppose you, then eventually you're going to have one winner, and that won't be your supporters.
Do you suppose that that's occurring in the Democrat Party in the United States?
I think from my vision as somebody looking inwards to the Democratic Party, they're falling head over heels to this ridicule. They see Trump as such an enemy, they don't care how they manage to get it. So for us, watching those young politicians using the politics of race, using the politics of black against black, if you're not a black Democrat, you can't believe in black rights. If you're not a Muslim Democrat, you're not against Muslim rights. If you can't see that very clearly, there is something palpably wrong with your analysis of politics. It's happened in Europe. We've tried to warn you with that happening in the Labour Party. The Democrat Party are being filled by that. They want race, religion, gender as the issues of the future, not jobs, schools, and the health of your nation.
Do you feel that they're fomenting balkanization of the country, of the society?
I think not only they're fomenting it, they're doing so as a strategic element of their ability to win. They want to drive, as we've seen in the Brexit movement, that you were thick or stupid or ignorant if you voted for Brexit. What is it that Hillary Clinton called you? The deplorables. If you were a voter for Remain, you were the intellectual elite, you were smart, you were clever. Only the smart and clever ones vote for the Democrats. This is not an isolated element that just occurred with the elites and supportive of those in the United Kingdom and Europe. It wasn't just isolated by the Democrats doing the same thing. This is coordinated. And it's a coordinated attack to segregate old working voters that once voted Democrats, to call them racist and xenophobes, so that they could change the children of the future to say that if you support conservatism, Republicans, Conservative Party, the right in Europe, then you're nothing but a xenophobe, stupid, thick, unintellectual. The next idea is to control your views, make sure that you're not allowed to say them, you can't get a job, and use legislation to control them. This isn't about equality, it's about control of outcomes. They want balkanization, they want division, because it's part of their overall strategy to try and defeat the political opponents. It's very dangerous, and that is why they need defeating in the next election that you hear for president.
That they need defeating?
Oh, absolutely. Not just a small defeat, they need a wholesale defeat. They need the people of America to say, why are we respected across the globe? You are a beacon of hope, you're a beacon of democracy, you're a beacon of everything that we want to be and that we would like to be. What we don't want to see is your nation transformed into a nation of division and segregation, because those cannot accept the will of the people voting for a president that is actually carrying out his own agenda, something of a manifesto that he set out. And they need to say, we do not want socialism, communism, Marxism, division, social agendas divided upon race and culture in this country. We want a country that lives for the free, works for the free, where a man and a woman can achieve their life's goal and support their family and look after one another under a flag that supports the nation state. Without that, if you don't send that message to the Democrats, if you don't send it by voting out those who are opposing the history of America and what it means to the rest of the world, then you've got your own self to blame.